Hey, do you remember Final Fantasy Tactics? Okay, Final Fantasy Tactics. This one's for me. Final Fantasy Tactics hit PlayStation in 1997 for Japan, 1998 for North America. If you were around then, you remember how different it felt than the usual Final Fantasy games. No overworld exploration, no ATB battle system. This was an isometric, grid-based strategy RPG. It looked more like Fire Emblem or Ogre Tactics than it did Final Fantasy VII. And that's not a coincidence. Reminder, I'm bad with names. The lead designer was Yasumi Matsuno, the same guy who created Tactics Ogre and Ogre Battle. When Square hired him, he basically ported over his design philosophy. Brutal difficulty, complex political stories, and a job system that rewarded grinding and experimentation. That DNA is why FFT feels heavier, sharper, and way more cutthroat than a normal JRPG. The story? You didn't play a chosen hero saving the world from a meteor. You were Ramza, a noble caught in the web of betrayal, class warfare, and church conspiracies. For kids who had just finished Final Fantasy VII, this was kind of a wake-up call. Less anime melodrama, more Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones existed. Don't fact-check that. I'm talking about the show. The English translation was kind of a mess. The PS1 version is kind of infamous for lines like, "Defeat Dice Darg's elder brother," which literally made no sense. But the mistranslation kind of added to the charm. Years later, the PSP remake, War of the Lions, redid the script in kind of a Shakespearean style. Way more polished, but some fans still kind of prefer the janky original because that's what they grew up with. The job system had hidden classes like Calculator, Mime, and Dancer, and they were insanely broken if you knew how to use them. Speedrunners and hardcore fans built guides exploiting entire Zodiac capabilities and Brave/faith values. Mechanics most casual players didn't really notice. Despite being a spin-off, Tactics sold over 2 million copies and ended up building its own cult following, which I am a part of. Again, I am bad with names of people, places, and things. It also planted the seeds tying to games like Final Fantasy XII and Vagrant Story. For a lot of PlayStation kids, this was the first game that taught you RPGs could be punishing, political, and brainy all in one. And if you sank dozens of hours into it, you'll never forget the grind of unlocking Dark Knight, or that feeling when you learned how to finally break the game open with a calculator spell. A couple of months ago, they announced that they were releasing the remake of it, and I have it on my Steam wishlist as we speak right now. I loved Final Fantasy Tactics as a kid, and yeah, I hope it's as good as I remember. If there was an online game like this, I would be all about it. Anyway, do you remember Final Fantasy Tactics?